Right now, rain is moving through the Triad, but as temperatures drop throughout the night, we could wake up to some patchy black ice.
Hundreds of people die in car wrecks every year in North Carolina.
A few simple seconds could make a huge difference because no one ever knows when an accident's going to happen.
2 Wants to Know shows you the deadliest Triad roads and intersections.
Thousands of dollars stolen in the Triad with skimming devices on ATMs. Investigators are showing us some of the technology crooks use you've probably never seen before.
They can empty your bank account and they're not going to stop till it's empty.
Plus, an old email scam finds new life and it's targeting Netflix users. WFMY News 2 at 11 starts right now.
Right now, we are watching the radar closely. Overnight rain could turn into snow in some spots.
We are not expected to see a lot of snow, maybe a few flakes, but Tim, dropping temperatures could mean some patchy black ice in the morning.
Yeah, snow really not a big concern for our area whatsoever, but I would have some concern, especially areas north and west, that you could wake up to a couple slick spots because as the temperatures drop to right around the freezing mark, some of the rain could freeze on the roadways. Here's what we're looking at right now. It's snow out to the west, isn't it? Wow, coming down pretty good in Tennessee. For us, it is just rain. Our temperatures are still incredibly warm, right around 50 degrees. Mount Airy, you just saw a little bit of a shower. This is pushing into Stokes County. Some of the first rain for you, and that's moving into Rockingham as well. Let's look at the temperatures. Low 40s currently in the foothills, low 50s, still 58 degrees. In Burlington, the cold front hasn't come through, but it will eventually overnight tonight. This is around midnight. Let's head into around 2 a.m. here. You see a few snow flurries maybe in Mount Airy at that time. And then as we work our way through the morning, watch the pink line. That's the freezing line. And as we get toward the 7 a.m. time frame, some upper 20s to right around 32. There's potential for just a few spots of black ice. We'll talk much more about this and our weekend storm system that's headed our way next.
WFMY News 2 is your go-to resource for the latest weather updates in your neighborhood. Track the radar, the hourly forecast, and the 7-day outlook on our app. Follow our meteorologists on Twitter and get the latest updates on our Facebook page.
24 people die on North Carolina roadways each and every week.
That is 24 men, women, and children who will never go home to their families.
To help keep you from becoming part of that statistic, 2 Wants to Know's Ben Briscoe is mapping out the Triad's deadliest roads.
Oh my God, are they going to try to push the car off of him? Oh my God.
County 911, what is the address of your emergency?
This 911 call is a snapshot of a problem that's easy to see, but hard to handle.
He was my firstborn. I'm just gonna miss him.
Every year in North Carolina,
I'm quick. She's got a baby in the car.
more than 1,200 people die in wrecks on our roads. Using a law enforcement database collected by the federal government, 2 Wants to Know confirmed crashes cluster around certain spots. Like here, at 40 and Mount Hope Church Road near Greensboro city limits, where there were 7 deadly crashes within 4 years, from 2013 through 2016, the most recent information available. More wrecks than any other place in the area.
To find this most deadly spot on the road, 2 Wants to Know took an overview of federal crash reports, mapping every fatal car wreck within 4 years across the Triad.
Then we put the map on WFMYnews2.com, where you can get your hands on the information and zoom in to streets near you. Lots of places had a couple of crashes, but we found 3 dangerous spots, each with 5 crashes. Those are US Highway 64 in Lexington around Grimes Park, going around the curve of North Van Buren Road in Eden, and near where Patterson Street takes you onto I-40 in Greensboro.
Law enforcement says those spots are probably the most dangerous because they have higher speed limits and more lanes of traffic than the average road. But they add that even more important than the streets is your seat and what's happening there.
Drivers not buckling up was the reason for 50% of traffic deaths, according to Master Trooper Brandon Baker. 50%. That's more than alcohol-related crashes, and 5 times the amount of deadly distracted driving wrecks. That's why he urges you to buckle up every time.
So just a few simple seconds could make a huge difference because no one ever knows when an accident's going to happen. It's just going to happen, and hopefully they're prepared by making sure they're buckled up.
And not only should you buckle up in the front seat, but the back seat as well. For proof, I've got a real-life dash cam video on here that we're going to play for you in 12 minutes. You gotta see this thing. It will change your mind if you ever go without a seat buckle in the back. Now, in the meantime, do not forget about the interactive map. I put a link to it on my Facebook page. Just search Ben Briscoe.
A South Carolina judge denied bond for Jeremy Hayes and Kennedy Boggs. Hayes is accused of violent robberies in the Triad. In 2 cases, deputies say he attacked 2 elderly couples in Randolph and Guilford counties. Hayes and Boggs are also accused of robbing a Pizza Hut and a dry cleaner in Myrtle Beach. In the Pizza Hut robbery, Hayes told employees to lay on the ground and said, "Don't move, I'll kill you," according to the police report.
You need to buy something? Well, you better get some money.
The problem is your wallet is empty, so you have to get some cash right here at the ATM.
Yeah, it's quick, it's easy, but you might not be the only one grabbing money from your account. WFMY News 2's Jensen Silvers saw firsthand the devices thieves use to rip you off.
Well, you might have heard of skimming devices, but have you actually seen one? They come in several different forms, just like this one on my left and this one on my right. And crooks install them on ATMs and gas pumps to steal your information and eventually steal your money. Now, these are just 2 types of skimming devices thieves have used in the Triad. The Randolph County Sheriff's Office says you might have a chance to spot the skimmer on the left, but the one on the right, they say, is nearly undetectable outside the ATM. That means the little jiggle the card reader trick like I use isn't going to cut it.
These are actually antennas that are transmitting that information by Bluetooth to another device where the scammers can actually record that information.
Some of the latest Triad victims were ripped off by scammers. They live in Graham, and they know the hassle that these devices can lead to.
They can empty your bank account, and they're not going to stop till it's empty. They're just going to keep drawing and drawing.
David Mays uses this ATM in Graham 5 times a week. He hasn't seen any impact on his account yet, but he is concerned after a skimmer was recently placed on that ATM along South Main Street.
Not necessarily that I feel unsafe, but it's just the hassle that I've got to keep that close an eye on things that should be safe anyway.
Now, this skimmer problem in downtown Graham started last month, and police say it is a very difficult crime to track.
To our knowledge, as of this morning, we know it was not on as of this morning, but we don't know. It could have been on last night for 30 minutes, an hour, or 6 hours. It's totally unknown.
And that unknown is why Graham police are asking for any information so they can try and nail down a timeline of when and where these scammers have been right here in our area.
Jensen, thank you. More flu cases, more hospitalizations, and more deaths because of the flu. 20 more people in North Carolina died from the flu last week. In all, the flu has killed 95 people in our state this flu season. 2 wants to know how the flu actually leads to death. The virus can kill people because it causes serious breathing issues and also dehydration, but it's more likely someone will die from other complications. A bacterial infection of the lungs or bacterial pneumonia is the most common flu complication that is serious enough to kill someone. It makes breathing difficult, especially for children, and not enough oxygen is getting to your body. Sepsis is also a deadly complication. It's when an infection you already have triggers a chain reaction throughout the body. This could lead to organ failure.
New at 11, a warning tonight for the millions of people who use Netflix. An old email scam is making the rounds again, hoping you fall for it this time. Tahisha, you learned more about the scam and how to protect yourself.
That's right. Hackers are posing as Netflix employees, saying that there is something wrong with your account or they need to have you re-enter your credit card information to continue your service. Now, in the email, there is a link, and when you click on it, you're directed to another page that looks like the Netflix login page, but it's not. Tech expert Kent Meeker says the goal is to get you to enter your username, password, and potentially your credit card information.
They'll record the keystrokes as you put them in and then stuff them in a little file somewhere so they can go through those later and see if that key information matches your Netflix account and if it matches any other account that you may have out there.
Okay, so obviously it looks real. So how do you know it's a scam?
Well, the biggest thing we can do is pay attention. Look at the sender. If the email is coming from a Gmail or Yahoo account, you can assume it didn't come from Netflix.